I am beyond thrilled and honored to be able to introduce you to my brothers at Kripa. What up, guys?
Hi, Sitaram.
Hey.
Ram.
It's good to see you all and to be together.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. Wish you could be us here, but glad to have you virtual.
Yeah. I was thinking about how we've actually been doing this, having group video chats at least once every 2 weeks, usually a lot more often, but at least once every 2 weeks for, I think, the entire duration of the pandemic.
Yeah, we are well practiced at this point.
Yeah, we meet more online than we ever have in person.
Zoom wrong.
I just thought we'd start off. I mean, I see now you're in a different location, but where that was filmed was in the living room at Hanuman Maui at Ram Dass's home. And I did introduce that a little bit, but I thought I'd just start first with you, Pavan, because you are on the board of Hanuman Maui. I don't know if you ever knew when you started getting into singing Kirtan that you would be on the board of some organization someday.
Yeah, I thought I was going the opposite direction, but here we are.
But I just thought I'd start with you just to talk about kind of the things that Hanuman Maui has going on and also, why it's personally meaningful for you.
Thanks, Sitaram. First, I want to speak for all of us and say thank you to Love Serve Member Foundation, to Mangala and to JR and everybody who works to organize this, and just everybody on the team that continues to share RD's teachings. You know, it's a huge service. So thank you to you all, and thanks for having us on. And Sitaram, Hanuman Maui, it's near and dear to all of us. To reiterate some of what you said earlier, it's the space that served as Ram Dass's home for the last 15 years of his life. And during those 15 years, he continued to deepen his practice and develop loving awareness and these other spiritual teachings that he shared with everyone. And in that time, there was a reciprocal relationship between his practice and the land and the space around him. So over those 15 years, he imbued that house with his presence and with that love. And so when he left his body a year ago, there was no question in our minds that we were to maintain it, to share it as a spiritual sanctuary. So that's exactly what we're doing, thanks to some tireless efforts from Dasima and Stever and Superly and countless Sevaks and benefactors. So thanks to all this effort, we're able to maintain the house and maintain it as a place of practice, as a spiritual sanctuary. And it's our hope that when travel opens up again, that we'll be able to share this space with aspirants on the path who wish to come and deepen their relationship to service and to loving awareness. And this place really exists as the heart legacy of Ram Dass, a place to have the experience of loving awareness and his presence. So we're really excited to share. And I could go on for ages about them, but you can just check out hanumanmaui.org for more information. And be sure to sign up for the newsletter, because we have so many exciting announcements coming out this month and news to come. We're really excited to share with you all.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it makes me think about, Krishna Prem, you were telling me about your time there as being really heart-opening. And when you were singing that Hanuman Chalisa in the video, I mean, I really felt that. And it just made me think about, especially since I brought up this Hanuman Chalisa album that we're doing for Ram Dass, and it just made me think about that intimate relationship that Ram Dass had with the Chalisa. And so since you did sing that song, Krishna Prem, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and why it's meaningful to you, and also, how that's kind of tied into Ram Dass for you.
Being at the house first and hearing Kirtan, I actually didn't feel drawn to it or didn't quite understand it, and felt like I was a good meditator or something like that. One day, I was pretty young when I got to RD's house. I was like 19. And one day, little naive me said, "Hey, Ram Dass, will you be my bhakti yoga teacher?" And he said, come on. And he rolled me into a little garden where there's a statue of Hanumanji. And he pointed to it and he said, "There's your first lesson." And he didn't give a second one, so learning about one and what Hanuman is and what that means for me. I think that's one of the reasons. And Sitaram, it was actually you that I heard sing Hanuman Chalisa for the first time. But it's one of those things that's like describing the smell of a rose. Like I could talk about it forever, but really it was trying it, and it was feeling that Ram Dass liked it. You know, when I sing, I go into the place in myself where I'm just singing with him and just being with him. You know, he loved me so much, and so that was a way in for me to be in that love with him.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And, you know, it makes me think about, you know, when Ram Dass's body laid out for those 3 days in the house after he had left his body, just how many times the Hanuman Chalisa was sung, and all of us, all four of us, as well as other people, you know, as we carried Ram Dass's body out of that house, it was sung, and it definitely has a certain power. And that actually, this ties in well to one of the questions that was asked, and I'll leave this open to any of you that wants to answer. But Sarah asks, is it necessary to know the translation of the Sanskrit, or in the case of the Chalisa, the Avadi, in the Kirtan, or is it simply the practice that matters? Anyone who might feel...
In my humblest of humble opinions, I think it's both, probably. You know, I think there's the devotion that you bring to the practice, and then as that devotion deepens, you probably are naturally led to further exploring, you know, not only what does that chant mean, but also the pronunciation, so that you're even more in a vibrational relationship with the mantras that you're singing. So I think it's a natural occurrence, you know, one that can be done all at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It makes me think about just this sense that this practice, right? It's really just about love, and it's about opening the heart, and that love leads the way, and it does eventually lead to wanting to learn what do these words mean. And but I think for all of us, for me, it started with that spark. I had just heard this chant, and I just had to start singing it, and yeah, that sense of kind of leading with the heart and leading with love. And that makes me also think, Bhavin, we were kind of talking about that last chant that you did, and I think that sense of leading with the heart, it kind of ties into part of the reason why that chant's meaningful to you, and I'm just curious if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. The chant I offered was the Sri Rudrashtakam, which is 8 verses to Shiva. And there's one line in here that I wanted to share. And it's, I take refuge in Bhavani's spouse, the Supreme Lord, who is fierce, exalted, intrepid, indivisible, unborn, radiant as billions of suns, who roots out all afflictions of mundane existence and is accessible only through love. And it's that last part that really does it for me. I've always been very attracted to traditions like the non-dual traditions, like Shaivism, to Buddhism, to all these practices that are aimed at pure and unconditioned consciousness. And so coming to RD, he offered an evolution of those teachings, where not only is our truest nature that of awareness, but it's that of loving awareness. And that these spaces are accessible only through love.
Yeah.
And, you know, following his lead, you know, in the same way that sunlight is warm, our awareness is loving. And that doesn't have to be something esoteric. That could be something very accessible, like practicing mindfulness or breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I love breathing in. Breathing out, I love breathing out. And so, following Ram Dass's lead, we can begin to infuse love into all of these practices on our path.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think about, in the Narada Bhakti Sutras, right, it talks about how love is not only that non-dual state, it's not only the final liberation, but it's also the path. And that just seems to be this running theme that we're talking about, that opening the heart is just naturally fulfilling, and we do it just because, and love gets awakened through love. I think that's beautiful. And we have a couple other good questions coming in, but before we get to those, I did, how do you want to ask you real quick? Because I'm aware of the fact that today is Good Friday, and one of Ram Dass's teachings is that he honored all paths, and I just think it's kind of miraculous that, because that kirtan you guys did was pre-recorded, that your chant involves kind of Christian prayer, and so I just was curious if you wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I wish I had thought of the fact that it was Good Friday, but it makes it a lot more fun that I didn't put everything together. Particularly because the rendition of what I did this evening, I created on Good Friday, like 3 years ago, as I was leading a kirtan at my parents' church. And, going back to accessibility and our mission, I'm always looking for ways for everybody to realize, that they have a home here and in that kind of space, and was looking at a way that I could really make sure to honor, the tradition and the space that evening, and thinking about, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and then the Easter to come, and the mother that bared all of that, and the witnessing, of pure radiant innocence coming into the world, going out and being a light to awaken the hearts of others, and then to also, feel and bear and behold, what was thought to be that light being extinguished. And for me, those two traditions, Maharaji and Ram Dass, constantly pointed to the reinforcement of other traditions, and going back to Sabek. And, when we look at the reattunement to love, we can recognize that divine quality of the mother in all traditions, and, in our life, by just looking for that loving compassion that, is holding, nurturing, and fierce, at the same time.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm going to direct this question to KP first, just because you've talked the least so far, but I imagine other people might want to jump in after. This is a question that came in from someone listening, and they wanted to know what are some of Kripa's best or most memorable moments with Ram Dass. So I'll start that with you, Krishna Prem. Is there a particular, you told that beautiful story earlier, but is there any other particular memories that pop in your mind right now that you feel like sharing?
Yeah, I feel like first meeting Ram Dass was super significant for me. I was very young, 17 or 18 at the time. And, I had the privilege and the ability to just go off in search of, and was reading Be Here Now. And I didn't know this story. I didn't know who Ram Dass was, or I didn't know about Maharaji. And a friend of mine, my teacher, one of my mentors, he saw me reading that and he said, "Oh, you like that book?" And I said, "Yeah, this is really cool. There's a page in here that talks about love as a place, as a state of being beyond just an emotion." And I had never heard anybody talk about that. So he said, "Well, he lives 15 minutes down the road. Would you like to go and meet him?" And I said, "Yeah, you mean one person did this? Let's go." So I go in the living room, and Ram Dass is sitting in his wheelchair, and he kind of turns and looks at me and smiles, says, "Hi." And at that moment, I could see it shining out of him. I could feel it in the air. It was a bizarre experience, but I think people watching understand how that feels when you get around somebody who's just operating in a different way, or maybe have a more peaceful vibe or whatever it is. But I could feel it coming out of him, that what I was looking for, the love and the consciousness that I was seeking, was real. And it was in this funny old man in a wheelchair smiling at me. And actually, in that first instant, I thought it was so hilarious because it was like, I've been looking for you. I didn't know I was looking for someone, and here you are, and here this is, and it was hilarious. So we laughed together for a few minutes. So meeting him, there's a phrase that comes from poetry talking about, I believe it's Rumi or Hafiz, talks about a moment with the beloved and the river changes its course. And that's for sure what happened. From there, also with the Hanuman Chalisa, it's like taking care of him showed me that there was joy in the act of giving care and giving love and awareness of the same place. And Hanuman, the perfect embodiment of selfless service and devotion, I wanted to know a little bit about that. Ram Dass really seemed to live in that, so I think meeting him that first time was really a moment of like shocking, wow, how could it can be this way, this is possible, and I'll wrap it there.
Yeah. No, but there's just hearing you say that, I'm just right there. I felt that darshan. That love, not only that Ram Dass had for you, but that you had for Ram Dass. And I got to feel that in this moment. And that's one of the things that I think about in terms of when we think about lineage or we think about satsang and this idea of wanting to honor these things. It can feel kind of dry sometimes on the outside, but when you're in it, you realize that lineage is just a transmission of love over time. And you honoring Ram Dass in that moment, and then me being a part of your satsang, right? This horizontal movement of love, right? In this moment, that love gets to be shared and spread. And I just think that that's really sweet. Yeah, that I was there actually. I was out gardening when you first met him, but I remember coming inside and I remember seeing you at the end, and I remember what your face looked like. You looked like a young boy, like in love, like just like totally doe-eyed and I remember Bodhi kind of like having to like pull you away a little bit. So I was there at the end of that moment. So I remember that. What about anyone else? Either Pavin or Hari, whoever feels inspired.
Yeah, I just want to jump on because I think like KP saying that it really, I think there are so many fun stories that we all have, but for me, the most amazing part of Ram Dass being in my life is the fact that it happened at all. And it's just like, like you listen the first time and you hear what you hear, and then over time, those things shift. And you get to see like what that love is that they were talking about, and that it extends beyond word. And that it's not even something like, us like meeting Ram Dass or like caring for him. It's beautiful, and it's so non-ascendable to be able to touch that to yourself. And I think that's my favorite thing with meeting Ram Dass, is knowing that every single person is capable of being able to feel that kind of love, and that it's available to be felt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling Mangala earlier, who she's behind the scenes right now, right, managing this live stream for Love Serve Remember, and we were talking about Ram Dass, and I said I learned more from being around him than any book. As you guys know, I read I'm reading books like every day. I'm like constantly studying things, and I feel like it's just a way for my mind to try and catch up on, whatever it was that I got from Ram Dass. Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, and you're right, Hadi, like that sense that, Ram Dass never pretended to be anything other than human. And all of us, we were at the house with him as caregivers, like we definitely, more than I think a lot of people, saw him as human. And the fact that love radiated so strongly through that humanity, I mean, that was my biggest lesson, is that, yeah, that this is real for me too, that this is actually our birthright, that this love, it's who we are, and that there's a path, and that we can take that path, and it's actually worthwhile. And, because of all of Ram Dass's work and his practice of surrender, I mean, we got to drink that fruit. And no, I'm always going to be forever grateful for that. Well, Bhavin, I'm going to turn it to you. We just have a couple minutes. What are any kind of closing thoughts that you might have to just share before we turn it over to Nina?
Well, once again, I'll express the gratitude for us being here. Thank you so much to Mangala, to JR, to Raghu, to Rachel, to Kelly, to the whole team. I love Serve Remember for everything that you do. It's really incredible. Thank you, Sitaram, for hosting this event. Wish you could be here singing with us, but thank you for being present with us. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. We've talked so much about satsang, but this path that we're on, as Ram Dass said, we're all walking each other home. So we're all here together and supporting each other. So thank you everyone for joining. And just as a last, we'd love to connect. So you can visit us at Kripa.guru and HanumanMaui.org. And I encourage you to sign up for our newsletters, link with us on social media. We have a very exciting Hanuman Chalisa album releasing on Ram Dass's birthday, which is April 6th. And we have Krishna Das and Nina and Jayutal and tons of incredible Kirtanwalas. So I hope you can check that out on Ram Dass's birthday, and look forward to connecting with you when time allows. So thank you again to everyone for being here, and thank you to Love Serve Remember Foundation. All love and namaste.
Cool. Yeah, love you guys. I think you guys can go ahead and disconnect from the call.
See you, everybody. Thank you for spending your time with us. We love you.
Thanks.
So what's going to happen now is we're going to do a little pause for, it'll be 2 minutes or less. It'll be a little intermission. And then after that, I will introduce Nina, and then we'll get to hear her and her family and Mark Gorman and them and their Kirtan set. So stay tuned.